Good evening and welcome to another in a series of a special edition of Out of the Fog episodes. This evening's episode is around the future of tech, an exciting industry in the province and beyond. We have a lot to be excited about here at home. And this evening, we're going to hear from three leaders in the field, and they're going to tell us what they think about the future of innovation and tech right here in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. This is Out of the Fog. We'll be right back after this break.
This is Rogers TV. This is Rogers TV.
Welcome back, everybody. As I discussed before the break, this is an Out of the Fog special edition, one of a series that we're doing during these unprecedented times called The Future Of, where we speak to a bunch of amazing big voices and community leaders and trendsetters and a bunch of industry types. This evening's theme is the future of innovation under the umbrella of technology. Startups, tech companies. We're hearing so much about the amazing strides that these local organizations and brave individuals are making here in the province. I'm joined by Michelle, Meshari, and Mark, the three M's coming at us tonight. And I'm going to let you guys introduce yourselves and the organizations that you work with. And Mark, I'll start with you.
Yeah, thanks, Danny. It's great to be here. So my name is Mark Gillingham. I'm Vice President with Skyhawk Telematics. We've recently become a TELUS corporation. So we're part of the TELUS global footprint, which spans about 60,000 people around the nation, around the world. Besides that, I sit on the National Board of Directors with the Canadian Manufacturers and Exporters. So it's interesting times to get both the manufacturing and the tech sectors perspective on how the world is changing and evolving. But lots of interesting things happening, but I think lots of opportunity as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Meshari.
Hello, everyone. My name is Meshari Alwashmi. I'm the Chief Scientific Officer of BreatheSuite, and I am also a guest editor of the International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health. And I also have a PhD with focus on digital health. I'm sure I'll get into what BreatheSuite does throughout these conversations.
Thank you so much. And Michelle.
Donnie, thank you so much for having me on this episode tonight, and to be joined by Mark and Meshari is really exciting. So my name is Michelle Sims. I'm the President and CEO of Genesis, and we say we exist to help build amazing companies. We've been working with technology companies in Newfoundland and Labrador for a little over 22 years now, so exciting times for sure.
Thank you so much. So I guess we can appreciate people watching this episode across the province might have varying understandings of what startups are. We live it every day, and so many people in our network live and breathe that line. So I guess if we had to have a definition of a startup in the true sense, Michelle, what would you tell the masses that a startup truly is?
So a startup in our world is a startup in, developing a technology business or a technology related business. But in general, a startup could apply to any new business. And, generally we say under 5 years, you're still a startup. Usually less than 30 to 50 employees, you're still a startup. Less than $1 million in annual revenues. That's generally the qualifier in our category.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So Meshari, startup land, you are definitely in that neck of the woods. I would like to ask you as an opener, as a startup, is it uncertain and risky at the best of times? And then sometimes pandemics happen. So how has your young and up and coming team been dealing with the reality as it pertains to your day-to-day life?
So luckily, since day one, we've endorsed made sure that we work and be able to accommodate people if they would like to work remotely. At this day and age, we need to be open if you want to attract talent across the world, to be open to work from people from wherever they are. So some team members need to be together, yes, but using tools that exist today, like what you're using right now, Zoom, brings people together. And they also like to give credit to our CEO, Brett, for making sure that the human element stays there and we continue our traditions of, let's say, for example, every Friday we have a meal together and we make sure that we have some sort of a team activity. So even with these hard times, he made sure that we get together, we play games, even though I lose most of the time, but it's good to come in and see everyone get together and play together. It's just fascinating.
It is fascinating. And Mark, I wouldn't call you a startup. You've been in the trenches now with Skyhawk Telematics for quite a long time, which goes to show that, you know, nothing's an overnight success. What are your thoughts regarding day-to-day life before COVID and now during this time?
It's been very, very interesting. In the short time, my perceptions on business and the way things potentially could and should work have changed quite drastically. I was always a guy who liked to be around the office, liked to be involved with people, just kind of be in the atmosphere, learn from the people around. And in a very quick amount of time, we did and kudos to our team, we very quickly, and we're an early mover to get people working from home, and I think we did that very successfully and quickly. Our team has done an amazing job in getting productive very quickly, and I've actually really enjoyed the experience of kind of get up in the morning and not having to drive to work and operate here. But all of my conference calls and business meetings have typically just been voice. And the ability to incorporate video, I think, when you can share emotion and see what people are saying and you know, have that more detailed interaction, even though you're not in the same room with them, has really, really changed. And during this time, we've actually continued to expand our team. We had some hires planned and we're moving forward with them. So I've onboarded a person in Massachusetts, another person in Ontario, and another person in Seattle that's about to come on board here in the last 2 weeks. And it's actually been a good experience overall. And, you know, just given the fact that typically you fly and see them and you do a face-to-face. So it's actually worked out quite well.
That's great to hear. Michelle, you on the ground up at the Genesis Center, who looks after so many up-and-coming companies in the tech field looking to grow and become successful, which is a gift to us all based on the success that they forged. What are the opportunities and challenges that you have been dealing with on the front line in the last weeks?
The last 4 weeks, we actually went to a work-from-home model 4 weeks ago today. So the last 4 weeks for us have been very challenging, but I think very rewarding in some aspects as well. It was very difficult to move some of our manufacturing companies to a work from home model. So when they're physically working together in an environment and depending on that physical space to be able to build their products, it's very difficult to say to them, we're shutting down operations and you have to move your operations home or elsewhere. And so it took a little bit for us to, you know, we removed as many people from the space as we possibly could. Of course, all of the Genesis team went remote. We've had a number of startups who were very quickly able to move out of the space, and that left room in the space for those that actually need to be in there to physically work on things. With regards to then, you know, quickly shifting to, okay, how do we help these companies now that we have them out of the space and we know that they're safe? How do we help them be here again in, you know, a year from now? And so our focus has shifted, and we've been really attentive to their needs and really focused on looking at the different funding programs, the federal government programs that are out there, which ones benefit the companies, how do they apply, and what do we, you know, what's their burn rate, what's their run rate, and how do we make sure that they don't run out of cash before they can get those incentives and those programs to keep them going. So we've had a full team of people that have been deployed working with 26 companies. It's been crazy.
That's incredible. That's a word. Yeah. That's a word for it, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Mark, what are the opportunities that you see for how Skyhawk Telematics can use this time to become even more successful and adaptive in the face of disruption?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And I think, first and foremost, it comes down to, you know, you've got to, in these times, there is a lot of uncertainty, and we certainly don't want to downplay that. There's economic uncertainty. There's people who are rightfully worried and concerned about what's going on with themselves, with their families. And so for us, it's been a lot about making sure you take care of your people first and foremost. I think there's an opportunity here, even though you're acting and operating virtually, to do the things like social events. And Friday evenings we try to get together, and it's been amazing. We actually can join offices who are geographically separated and get people to pull together. So I think that it's really, really important to keep the cultural community aspect of your business together, and we've really probably have done more and a better job of that during this time, because you want to make sure you're supporting your staff at home, and it is difficult for sure. There's interesting things. We're a very proud Newfoundland and Labrador company, and we try to hire here as much as we can and do that. But there are times when you're looking for specialized skill sets, and I think that we're entering an era here where there's going to be a very substantial new normal, and it's going to be quite different than anything we've seen. That you're going to see a fundamental shift here in the way in which businesses operate and do work with each other. And I think that disruption, because it's so significant, represents a lot of opportunity, specifically around how you may want to acquire talent, where you acquire talent, how you work with them, and the types of businesses, sometimes taking a step back in times of uncertainty and looking at your business model and saying, well, okay, how do I now go out and approach the world or approach the market? I think that there's opportunity for businesses to maybe cut some of their operating costs and maybe realize that maybe I don't need all the office space, and I can have workers that can successfully work from home, that can trim some costs out of their out of their day-to-day operations, and can potentially pick up specialized staff that maybe they otherwise wouldn't have worked with in other areas, as part of this kind of new norm of working remotely. So there are definitely opportunities, especially around the human side.
Absolutely. Meshari, I'm going to pick this up with you after the break. We're at the end of our first segment right now. So you guys, I told you, time just flies by. When we come back, we're going to delve more into the nuances of the different industries that we're dealing with under the umbrella of tech and startup, and maybe lessons that other traditionally based industries can learn from the things that startups and tech-based organizations have been just leaning into since we started. This is Out of the Fog, and we'll be right back after this break.
All right, girls.
Mom, you said it's played again.
Workplace injuries hurt the most at home.
I joined because I wanted to help others.
To be a part of something bigger.
To show my kids what's important.
I joined to make my community stronger.
To make a difference in someone's life.
To acknowledge that our freedoms come at a cost.
I joined to honor my mom.
My grandpa.
My neighbor.
Everyone who served.
Who are serving still.
I joined.
I joined.
I joined the Legion.
Welcome back, everybody. We are back into a special edition of Out of the Fog, the future of tech and innovation. And I have Michelle Sims, I have Meshari, and I have Mark Gillingham from Skyhawk Telematics. And I want to jump in with you, Meshari, and I want to talk about health innovation. I want to talk about the reality we're facing and the future of that from your lens, because as Michelle said during the break, you are one qualified individual to be leading us into that conversation. So please, the floor is yours.
Wonderful. So for healthcare, the way we're moving into healthcare right now, we're moving into a different model that we've traditionally been doing. The traditional archaic reactive model where we wait till the patient gets sick is changing these days. We're moving into more of a proactive healthcare model. a model where we can engage healthcare professionals to monitor patients with chronic diseases, with lung diseases, or patients with diabetes, using these different devices at the comfort of their home, and using artificial intelligence, for example, to help these healthcare professionals and looking for the signs and the symptoms of when to interact and get to the patients before they get sick. Another thing that we're starting to notice is that we're also looking at people who aren't sick, people who are just normal, living their daily normal life, and we're bringing in digital coaches and mental health specialists to make sure that they're continuing their wellness, looking at the steps captured by, for example, all of these wearables, and making sure that the whole population is monitored, and we're moving into the right direction to make sure that it's personalized and making them live longer and happier as well.
Thank you so much. And just for the viewers at home who are hearing about BreatheSuite for the first time, why don't you put it in lights for the viewers so we can understand the power and interest of your business?
So, for example, 90% of patients that are using inhalers do not know how to use the inhaler properly. So what we have developed, this is the normal inhaler that's been used by patients. And what they do is we develop this device where you can go in and add it on top of the inhaler, and it will let healthcare professionals know, for example, if patients are adherent to their medications, so we can see if something is wrong or not. And also we can track how patients are using these inhalers, because sadly about 90% of them do not know how to take it properly. So by having these metrics, in addition to other metrics that we're collecting, we'll be able to help manage patients with asthma or chronic obstructive pulmonary disease.
That's amazing. Where did this idea come to you?
So patients are the patients are the key in inspiring us, and they continue to inspire us every day.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing work that you and the team, Brett and Maria and everybody there are doing. So keep up the good work. Mark, I'm going to ask you, and this is Michelle. We had a quick little chat leading into this, and I think it's very interesting for the viewers at home to know. Skyhawk Telematics, please talk about where it started and now what you're at day to day, because there's quite a distance between the two.
Yeah, so actually Michelle played a role in my role in Skyhawk. She introduced me to the president and CEO, Paul Anderson, way back a bunch of years ago. And so the company was initially Blue Ocean Satellite Systems. And as a business, they track commercial fishing vessels using satellite-based communication technology. Long story short, we looked at the market and you know, I know we're being kind of forced into a pretty difficult market situation, but at the time, as an organization, we were forced into a pretty difficult economic situation, and so we made a choice of pivoting, a difficult one, and ultimately did that a couple of times, which led us to fleet telematics or GPS tracking of vehicles. So we serve a lot of large government fleets, power utility companies, large energy companies. And, you know, it's funny how, you know, at times when you think you're maybe in your darkest days, those decisions actually ultimately led to much more success than we probably ever could have thought of. So, you know, Michelle brought us back to a point of reminiscence there a second ago. And but it's interesting in these times to see how those difficult moments can often lead to future success.
I absolutely agree. Some of my most entrepreneurial dark moments led to the best decisions and the strategic moments. Michelle, talk to us about the power of pivoting as it pertains, a lot of P's there, to the entrepreneurial and tech industry. Take it away.
Well, the one thing that startups have in abundance is the ability to be agile and to pivot. And, you know, we've often seen, and Verifin is a great example of that, the company that now is perhaps one of the largest banking, fraud and money laundering detection companies probably in the world. It started out in underground mining and doing robotics for underground mining. So massive pivot for them that led to success ultimately. And, there's many examples of that. And I think this situation that we all find ourselves in right now with COVID will result, when it's over, in massive amounts of innovation and creativity and differing ways in which we operate and do business. And, Mark touched on that a little bit before the break, but I think you'll also see massive amounts of innovation in healthcare, in education. We've now, started to move to a homeschooling model, and teachers are putting content online. And as I was walking my son up the road this morning, I said, snow days will never be the same, because you get a snow day and now all of a sudden you're going to be doing schoolwork at home because the teachers have that ability, and they've just proven it. And so I think we're going to see massive change, and I think we will have a better world at the end of this, and it'll be a better healthcare system. We'll have a better education system. We'll have stronger businesses. It's just going to be a really rough ride for the foreseeable future, I guess, until we get over this massive hurdle.
I'll ask you, what do you think that someone watching this program tonight who may be a disenfranchised restaurateur in terms of being a server or a bartender, or the industries that we know right now and into the foreseeable future are going to be suppressed greatly in terms of the ability to be successful, where would you send them and what would you say to them?
I think one thing that we're doing is we're noticing a lot of digital businesses coming around. And one thing that digital businesses need to understand and learn from, as all of you mentioned earlier, is that developers understand and need to understand that they are not the user, and they need to go back to the user and validate their idea and make sure that they're on the right track. So learning the skills of interviewing the users and learning from the users to make sure that they're developing a usable product would be extremely important. There is a lot of courses about usability and human-centered design that people can go in and learn online through Udemy and other courses. And a lot of tech companies could benefit from a service that's called Look Back. What Look Back does, you can sign up and you can recruit users. I'm used to working with patients, but you can recruit users who are using any technology, and you can see in real time how they're interacting with your product. Ask them different questions to make sure that you're building something that would really work with them, work within their lives instead of fitting it in their lives instead of forcing it into their lives.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. You brought up a really great point. Udemy and all these other different online, learning platforms that are available. And then we have startup companies like Get Coding, which are amazingly coming on board right now to fill a major opportunity, especially now, which is to acquire the digital skill of coding. Would we all agree that coding is the language of tech? What are your thoughts on that, Michelle?
I think coding is the language of tech, but I also see user experience professionals going forward as playing a pretty significant and important role. And I also think sales and marketing, we're going to see more emphasis, I think, on the user experience. And particularly as we move further and further into automation, there's definitely going to have to be some real focus on, how things look and feel, and how the user's experience affects the product and the design of the product. So, we're huge advocates of Get Coding and what they're doing. And, also I have to throw a shout out to the College of the North Atlantic. They are onboarding a new software program. I think it starts in September, and then Memorial University is also ramping up their computer science and computer engineering programs as well. So I think there's lots of opportunities to get reskilled and retrained in Newfoundland and Labrador, but so many opportunities for sure.
Absolutely. Mark, I know now, you looking in on Skyhawk life from day to day, and the times that we're in right now when it comes to asset tracking and making sure people know where their stuff is and how efficient and effective everything on the road is. What do you see pivoting in terms of how you do and what you do? Or do you see just more opportunity therein when it comes to the day-to-day life of Skyhawk?
Yeah, it's funny, even just in the last little bit, we're actually talking with healthcare providers. So some of the work that we do with municipalities and tracking ambulances and things of that nature, and all of a sudden now, people are asking us, can we track the hospital beds? Can we track things that are vital in the fight for COVID, and understanding where things are, to help with that? So I'm an eternal optimist. I as I get older, I'm a bit more jaded and a bit of a realist too, I guess. But I do think that even though we're in a tough time, I do think that there is a lot of opportunity that's about to come out of this. I personally believe in the human existence and our constant evolution, and I really think that we're going to figure our way out of this, and probably sooner than maybe most people think. I do believe, though, that it's going to be a fundamentally different way of doing business. Especially given until we get to a vaccine or something like that, I think that people can't stop feeding themselves and working and doing all that. So they're going to continue to participate in those activities, and they're going to continue to get groceries and eat and clothe themselves and all of that. So, the world is not going to stop. It's just going to be a lot different. And, I think we're all paying attention to how that may unfold over the next bit. But there's no doubt that technology will play a huge role. And, I think one of the things that I'd probably just like to throw in here is the tech sector, and the question you asked Michelle earlier, is often being kind of seen as a young male-oriented type of an industry. But I really think that for the females, and then the people who come in from other ethnic diversities, there's a real opportunity for everyone to participate, regardless of age, gender, demographic, and there's an opportunity here to open up. And you don't necessarily need to be a skilled low-level programmer to be able to do so. That there's lots of things within the tech sector that don't require you to have programming skills, and lots of the job types that Michelle obviously spoke about earlier as well.
Guys, thank you so much. This is a really powerful conversation, and I hope people watching tonight walk away feeling inspired, and to know that there are so many resources and like-minded people in our own backyard that are ready with programs and opportunities and energy that can help us lean in to innovation under the tech umbrella or beyond, because we're going to need it. So, Michelle, Meshari, Mark, thank you all three for joining me on this episode, and I hope to see you in real life very soon.
Absolutely. Take care. Stay safe, everyone.
Until next time, guys, this is Out of the Fog, the future of innovation and tech.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
Sometimes it's hard to say goodbye to an old friend. But when you're saying farewell to your vehicle, Kidney Car makes it fast and easy. Just call or visit our website. We'll take any vehicle in any condition and give you a tax receipt for a minimum of $300. No headaches and no towing charges. It's the one-stop solution for getting rid of your unwanted vehicle in just a few short minutes. When your vehicle's reached the end of the road, call us toll-free or visit kidneycar.ca.
The School Lunch Association is a registered charity that provides a hot, nutritious lunch for school children in over 36 schools, regardless of a family's financial situation. We believe that every child should have a hot, nutritious meal, because good nutrition promotes better learning.
COVID-19 has affected us all, including one of the most needed resources for our children,